Lewis Hamilton did not just say Ferrari was slow in Austria. He said he did not know why. And that is the sentence that should terrify Ferrari, because when a 7-time world champion cannot explain where the speed has gone, the problem is no longer just lap time. It is confusion. It is lost trust. It is a car that looked dangerous in qualifying, then suddenly became vulnerable when the race started asking harder questions. Ferrari had 2 cars near the front. They had momentum from Spain. They had Hamilton carrying belief, Leclerc warning about lost speed on the straights, and a team that desperately needed Austria to prove the comeback was real. But instead, Austria exposed something much darker. If Ferrari cannot understand why the car becomes slow, how can they fix it before Mercedes and Red Bull turn that weakness into a weapon? Subscribe to the channel. At first, Austria was supposed to be Ferrari's proof. Not another excuse. Not another difficult weekend to explain. Not another race where the team looked strong in one moment, then lost the thread when it mattered. Ferrari needed Austria to confirm that Spain was real, because Hamilton's victory in Spain had changed the mood around the entire team. It gave Ferrari something more powerful than points. It gave them belief. It gave fans a reason to think the red car was finally becoming a weapon. It gave Hamilton's move to Ferrari a new kind of meaning. For a moment, the story felt simple. Hamilton had arrived. Ferrari had answered. The season had turned. But Formula One has a brutal way of tearing simple stories apart. And Austria was the perfect place to do it. The Red Bull Ring looks short. It looks clean. It looks like a circuit where a strong car can attack and a great driver can make the difference. But underneath that simple shape, it asks a very harsh question. Can your car stay fast when the same weaknesses are hit again and again and again? Long straights punish any lack of speed. Heavy braking punishes instability. Traction zones punish rear tires that are already working too hard. And when a car begins to lose control of its tires, the damage does not stay in one corner. It spreads through the lap. That was the first warning for Ferrari. Leclerc had already pointed toward a straight line problem. Ferrari was losing too much time, where the car needed to be efficient. That alone was worrying, because Austria rewards cars that can fly down the straights without dragging too much air behind them. But the second warning was worse. Ferrari was also surprised by its corner performance. And that is where the weekend started to feel dangerous. Because a team can survive one weakness if another strength covers it. If a car is slow on the straights, maybe it can recover time in the corners. If it struggles in corners, maybe it can fight back with top speed. But Ferrari seemed to be searching for both. Not enough speed where Austria demanded efficiency. Not enough comfort where the car was expected to be strong. Not enough clarity for the drivers to say, this is the problem, and this is the fix. That matters, because Hamilton's later admission did not come from nowhere. I do not know why we were so slow. That sentence was built by the whole weekend. It began with the feeling that the car was not behaving as expected. It grew when Ferrari found one-lap performance, but still carried doubts into race day. It became louder when qualifying put Leclerc second and Hamilton third, because suddenly Ferrari had something to lose. From the outside, that grid position looked promising. 2 Ferraris near the front. Hamilton with momentum. Leclerc with speed. Mercedes ahead, but not out of reach. A team that had suffered on Friday appearing to recover on Saturday. It looked like a comeback. But that is the trap of qualifying. One lap can make a car look braver than it really is. A qualifying lap is like sprinting across a burning floor. You only need to survive for a few seconds. You can take the pain, make the move, and get to the other side. A race is different. A race asks you to live there. And Ferrari's real test was never whether the car could produce one strong lap. It was whether the car could repeat that strength over a full Grand Prix, with heat in the tires, pressure from rivals, changing fuel load, and no place to hide when the pace began to fade. That is why Austria became so important. Because Ferrari did not simply need a decent result. Ferrari needed proof that the car's speed was dependable. And what it got instead was uncertainty. The most dangerous thing in Formula One is not always being slow. Sometimes it is being slow without fully understanding why. A slow car with a clear weakness can be improved. A confusing car creates doubt. It makes every setup choice feel risky. It makes every good lap feel suspicious. It makes every bad stint feel like a clue to a bigger problem. That is the space Ferrari entered in Austria. A space between hope and confusion. And for Hamilton, that space is uncomfortable in a very specific way. He is not a rookie trying to describe a problem for the first time. He has spent his career reading cars, tires, grip levels, balance shifts, and race rhythm. He knows when a car is simply missing pace. He knows when a tire is gone. He knows when a setup has gone in the wrong direction. So when he says he does not know why Ferrari was so slow, it does not sound casual. It sounds like the car gave him a problem that did not fit neatly into one box. And that is why Block 1 of the story is not just about Austria beginning badly. It is about Ferrari arriving with belief, finding signs of speed, and then realizing that the most important answer was still missing. The car could look competitive. The drivers could put it near the front. The team could tell itself that progress was real. But beneath all of it, Austria was preparing to ask the only question that mattered. If Ferrari could not explain the slowdown, how could it stop the same thing from happening again? Then came the moment where Ferrari's weekend stopped being about expectation and started being about confusion, because qualifying had given them just enough hope to make Sunday feel dangerous. Leclerc was starting second. Hamilton was starting third. The red cars were close enough to the front to make the race feel alive before it even began. After the warning signs from practice, that looked like a rescue. It looked like Ferrari had worked through the night, found answers, and pulled the car back into the fight. A confident team makes aggressive calls. It undercuts when it believes the tire will work. It extends a stint when it trusts the degradation. It asks the driver to push because it knows what the car can handle. It defends because it believes the pace will still be there later. A doubtful team hesitates, not because the people are weak, because the car has not given them enough truth. In Austria, Ferrari seemed to be trapped in that uncomfortable space. Push too hard and the tires could fade. Protect too much and the leaders disappear. Try to attack on the straights and the car may not have enough speed. Try to recover in the corners and the balance may not be there. Every option came with a warning. And for Hamilton, that creates a race that feels completely different from fighting for victory. You are no longer asking, how do I beat the car ahead? You are asking, what is my own car going to do next? That is a dangerous question at the front of Formula One, because once the driver starts protecting himself from the car, the rivals have already gained something. They have gained freedom. They can choose when to push. They can use strategy as a weapon. They can force Ferrari into uncomfortable windows. They can make the red cars react instead of control. Mercedes did that in Austria. Russell took the race into his hands. Antonelli stayed strong in the championship picture. Verstappen, even from a more complicated starting position, still had enough to reach the podium. Around Ferrari, the rivals looked like they understood their machinery better. Ferrari looked like it was still negotiating. That is the word that defines the race. Negotiating. Hamilton was not driving a car that simply gave him what he needed. He was managing conditions, managing uncertainty, managing a pace drop that did not have one clean explanation, managing the emotional shift from Spain's joy to Austria's doubt. And that emotional shift matters, because confidence in Formula One is not just about the driver, it is about the whole system. When Hamilton wins in Spain, every mechanic walks taller. Every engineer feels the direction is working. Every strategic meeting carries more belief. Every Ferrari fan feels the old dream coming back. Then Austria arrives, and one sentence shakes the room. I do not know why we were so slow. Suddenly, the team is not celebrating progress, is investigating it. And that is the hidden damage of this Grand Prix. Not the points lost, not the missed opportunity, not even the fact that Ferrari could not turn a second and third on the grid into the result it wanted. The hidden damage is that Ferrari's performance picture became less clear. And at this level, clarity is worth almost as much as speed. A slower car with a clear direction can be developed. A faster car with a narrow, confusing window can waste weeks. It can pull engineers in the wrong direction. It can make one upgrade look good at one circuit and disappointing at the next. It can make drivers disagree about what they need from the car. It can make the team chase symptoms instead of the real cause. That is why Hamilton's admission cannot be brushed aside as post-race frustration. It may be the start of Ferrari's most important internal investigation, because the question is no longer just, how do we find more pace? The question is, why does the pace disappear? That is much more serious. It means Ferrari has to look beyond the obvious, beyond the qualifying result, beyond the start positions, beyond the emotional swing from Spain. They have to ask whether the SF-26 is only comfortable in a very specific window, and whether Austria pushed it outside that window in a way the team did not fully predict. If the answer is yes, then this is not just an Austrian problem. It is a calendar problem. because Formula One will not protect Ferrari from similar circuits. There will be more tracks with long straights, more races where rear tires are stressed, more Sundays where efficiency matters, more moments where Hamilton and Leclerc need a car that stays predictable when pressure rises. And if Ferrari cannot give them that, the same mystery can return. Maybe not every weekend, but often enough to damage a season. That is why this part of the story matters. It is the point where the Austrian Grand Prix turns from a bad result into a warning about Ferrari's future. The race did not simply say Ferrari was slow. It said Ferrari might not fully understand when, why, and how that slowdown appears. And for a team trying to fight Mercedes and Red Bull, that is a terrifying place to be. Because rivals can be beaten with speed, but confusion has to be beaten from the inside first.